All right, here we go. We are trying to pre-record because the Wi-Fi and the cell signal out here at the beach is just incredibly weak. So we're going to try to do this and then upload. So we have an exciting episode for you today. Welcome to A Fern Between Us, episode 34.
We are two of the four owners of Vivac Winery. I'm Jesse.
I'm
You're Michelle, and cheers.
Here we are.
And cheers to you guys.
Yes, and here we are out at Puerto Escondido in Oaxaca, and we're talking about Mezcal. Why is a wine show talking about booze? Because there's so much room in this world to be drinking.
Yeah,
Right?
we've always kind of, or at least in the last 15 years, been all the above kind of drinkers. We like beer, we like the alcohols, we like wine, and
Yes.
so, well, mostly that's what we do. Sometimes, especially given the occasion, we'll talk about other stuff as well.
Absolutely, and the other thing is that the way that you make booze is often to make a wine first and then you distill it. So I think it's very much in keeping, right?
It is in keeping, for sure.
All right, so we do have some questions. We're going to actually do the questions and then get into the details of Mezcal and what we've been learning as we went on tours and tastings and stuff. But real quick, I am drinking a Mezcal drink called the what?
Oh, I didn't get the name of it.
You just told me the name of it, didn't you?
No, I told you what it was made of.
Mm. Well,
It's made of Jamaica, mezcal, a little bit of chili liqueur, and then it's rimmed with tahine, which is kind of a spicy, salty lime, thing on the top. And I am drinking just a straight, basic mezcal made from espadín agave plants. So anyway, we'll get back to that.
yes.
First, let's go into questions.
All right. So the first one is a ton of people. Ton of
Is
people
it spicy?
It's not that it's that spicy, but I somehow
You wrong piped it.
yeah, really actually very tasty. It's very smoky. But a lot of people have been asking. I mean, a lot of people have been asking what our stance or thoughts are on the Court of Sommelier, Master Sommelier's big issue that New York Times article dropped on a lot of misconduct, and the follow-up has been if we agree or disagree with the reprimands that they have essentially dished out to some of those that were participating in that bad behavior. And what
were the reprimands, real quick?
they are they have asked many to step down as educators or as part of the board, and then the question has been posed whether or not they should take their master sommelier status away from them.
We've got a
Don't mind
helicopter,
that.
by the way.
They're coming to get us.
They've been asked to, but they haven't taken away their master status.
It's been posed that perhaps that should be something they do, and nobody has decided as of yet, or last that I heard.
So, my take on it, and you can follow up with your take. My take on it is that they should probably lose their jobs and lose their, and that would be up to the individual place that employs them. And if it is the Master Court of Somms that employs them, then they should not let them keep practicing as an educator or whatever, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think you should take in general, I don't think you should take their credentials away, because they don't cease to be a Master Somm. They cease to be suitable for gainful employment. Like you wouldn't call a doctor not a doctor anymore. You would just choose not to
Hire them or keep them
right.
on staff at a hospital.
Right, and so that's where
interesting.
I fall on it.
Unless
in general, depending on how
they,
egregious they're,
they do get their doctor status revoked if they ill somebody. Like, it has to be right. I mean, there are certain
But that has to do with the doctorness of the doctor, like their ability
right.
as a doctor. It doesn't.
Right. Not that they acted inappropriately. Yeah.
Right. Oh.
Okay.
But if they were,
Well,
it
think
depends
this
on
is-
if they're egregious towards their unconscious patients, I guess, in that situation, which doesn't apply here. But if they were,
Yeah.
too grabby and inappropriate with their fellow staff members or, who are subordinates of them, then yeah, the hospital ought to fire them. But that doesn't mean that they're no longer own a PhD or
right.
whatever.
Okay.
So anyway, that's where I fall. Where do you fall?
I think that there are a lot of levels to this, and I think one of the biggest ones is that it's really difficult in the wine industry as a woman to garner respect, and it's changed a lot, and it has gotten a lot better. A lot of people messaged me through this whole thing asking what my personal experience has been over all these years, and I have to share that one of the most influential people, she was very much a mentor to me. One of the first things she told me was that you need to embrace your inner bitch, because that's what you're going to be called when you call other people in the industry, which those other people are men generally, on their behavior, on their knowledge, and you stand up for yourself. And you say, I have a right to be at the table, and I know what I'm talking about, and I do have my own gift and something to bring to this. So that's hard. That is really hard. It has been really difficult, but having that early on, I thought was really actually a huge thing. And
Yeah.
believe me, I have definitely been called a bitch, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I am very confident in what I have to bring to the table, and I don't mean any disrespect to anybody else, but I definitely expect to be respected.
Yeah.
And so I'm not surprised when this story broke. This is not new. This is not unheard of.
It's really
It's
well
a
known.
real shame that so many were deterred, is what it is. We've lost a lot of talent.
Exactly, and it's very, very well known that and especially in your job, specifically within our winery, is trying to as a distributor, the wine buying and selling within the industry is notoriously brutal, and especially for women.
Yeah.
And that's basically right where you fall, and you've managed it really good. You've had a few negative encounters for sure, but not. You've always stood your ground and didn't put up with it, and
Yeah.
And it's way in part due to Joanne and her early mentoring, and I that was amazing, and that was really, really great.
Yeah.
And it's from all sides too. It's as a wine buyer, you'll get run over by the distro staff of whatever distribution company is coming to see you, or if you're a seller, you'll be railroaded by the wine buyer at any given account or whatever. And it's just really, really rough, and it's rough for everybody, but it's just extra rough on ladies, and it sucks.
Well, it's you're often sexualized when you're trying to sell something,
Yeah.
and you're asked to look the other way if they take your product. And it's a very fine line to walk where you assert yourself and say, I'm not going to take that. And you are going to still take the product. So it's an interesting thing. So yeah, I think it absolutely is necessary to move forward. And I think the Court of Master Somms has done an incredible job in their response. And the women of the Court of Master Somms all came together and put a statement forward apologizing that they hadn't stepped up for their sisters and been there and protected them, and also spoke for the men that were against this happening. It is everybody on page, really trying to make amends, and I think that's huge.
Yeah.
You have to hear an apology too. So I think that's good.
I think it's long-winded answer for a very
Right.
important topic. I think we haven't seen this is just the beginning of the fallout. It's on the micro level, it's going to happen all over the place in New Mexico and in every other state, and all the little shit that she's been dealing with. It's going to happen over and over again here for a long time.
Absolutely. All right. So, if you have more questions about that, we can get further into details. Just send us the exacts that you want us to talk about. But let's get into mezcal. So, one of the questions is, what is mezcal?
Okay.
This was a good one because I also had no idea other than that disgusting drink that I took shots of in high school.
And I tried to answer it a couple weeks ago when you popped it on me, and I said there's tequila and there's mezcal, and tequila's made from blue agave and mezcal's made from some other agave probably, and that was as best I knew then. Now I know that tequila is a subsect of mezcal. Mezcal is any booze made from agave, and tequila is one of those, and it happens to be made almost exclusively from blue agave. And most
in tequila,
Mexico,
which is like champagne.
Right.
You get champagne from champagne. Otherwise, it's sparkling wine. So otherwise, it's mezcal. But they aren't making any mezcal out of blue agave.
They don't do a lot of blue agave down here. There's a little bit here and there. Somebody might blend it in one of their mezcal blends, but basically, there's 80 different species of agave. Blue agave is one of them, but they make here in Oaxaca. They make mezcal out of, I think he said 40 some odd different varieties of agave. Only one of which can be propagated or grown specifically,
otherwise
agriculturally.
they're wild.
All the other agaves, so that's espadin, and that's the one I'm drinking here, and that's basically the very, very vast majority of mezcals are made from espadin because it can be cultivated. That's the word I was looking for.
Yes, and then they become these specialized little artisan drinks because
every agave plant tastes different when it's made into a mezcal, which we found out. We've got espadin, which is the main one, and we've got two others here, and then we've got two flavors. Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, it's very interesting. So it's not just the gross shot that some reason you had because it has a worm in the bottle, which they don't all have. I did not know that.
They call it con gusano if it has that, and that means it's with the worm, but the worm is a butterfly worm that specifically burrows into agave plants, and it gives it a very specific flavor, and they do it on purpose. It's
Which
not
is
just
fascinating.
it's just not to be like a tough guy thing. They're like, oh, drink the worm, whatever.
One of my very best friends from college, her and I have discussed quite a bit about mezcal, and some of which was reflective on our time together. But neither of us were big fans, and so it's taken a little bit, but I'm really appreciating the nuances. I think that's fantastic. So in a second, when we're done with our questions, we're going to really get into the nuances of the differences. But the next question is, I've always hated mezcal. Yep, me too. Is it the kind I'm drinking in the USA? So I think there is some of that because I didn't know that there were different kinds that didn't have the worm, and if that's a very unique, individualized, hard flavor, then why is that what we're drinking? And we're doing it as a shot. It's very smoky.
It seems like they're all, as we've gone around tasting, it seems like they're all pretty smoky.
Yum yum.
It's because of the way. So they take the agave plant, they cut off all the big tines that go out, and you end up with the pineapple, they call it, or the heart, or there's
fruit.
The lot, but it's basically like this big center part, and they light a fire and cook it underground for like days and days and days, like 6 days, 8 days, and that condenses all the sugars, makes it so that you can, so that they can crush it and get all the sugars out, and then they ferment that, make a wine out of it, agave wine, I guess.
Which we did do a tour, and we got to taste that.
The agave itself,
fruit.
It's so sweet.
It's like eating a sweet potato. It's delicious.
So good, so good. So they extract that, ferment it, and then they distill that fermented wine that makes so it depends on what kind of wood they're using to heat, to cook it. It depends on how smoky that is. It also depends on the individual agave plant, how smoky or not that comes across. So I think there probably is
where it's planted.
And where it's
the
planted.
terroir of these plants is insane. The tasting that we did, where you could taste the same plant planted in different places, was
unbelievable.
So unreal different.
Yeah.
If you have ever wondered if terroir is a real thing, you need to do a mezcal tasting.
Right.
It's so night and day. It's amazing.
It's so night and day. But yeah, there's probably a mezcal for you. Keep trying, but try different ones, I would say.
Since we're gonna get back into that, let's jump into the last question. With expensive booze, you are supposed to sip it, but I can't. Is it really that rude or bad to make a drink out of it? And I really love this question because
Michelle's drinking a drink right now.
This has been hard as a purist because I don't believe that you should really totally go outside of the way the wine is presented, the booze presented, so that you can really taste it and what it's offering and the artistry behind it. However, I do think if you want to make a wine spritzer, go for it. And I have a hard time with mezcal, so I have been enjoying cocktails. If you I've done a little research because we bought a lot of mezcal and now we have to drink it. If it's not a smoky kind, then you can replace normal tequila drinks with a mezcal. So you can, make a margarita or, what are those called? Sunset?
Yeah. Tequila sunset?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's, all your tequila drinks. But if it's a smoky one, that you should use your whiskey drinks and replace it as such. So I think that's kind of interesting. And this,
like a mezcal Manhattan or a something with some amount of sweetness to bring out.
Well, we just figured out that thanks to one of my incredibly inappropriate mommy drinking groups on Facebook, that actually a phenomenal combination is just cranberry juice with whiskey.
Oh, so good.
It's so amazing. It's turned me into a whiskey drinker because I needed more drinks.
So, where are we going with this?
So, no. Yes, if you can give it a sip, especially if you're at a place or somebody opens a really nice bottle for you, if you can at least give it a sip and not choke and, try to participate, that's the very best. But then, you can say, this is a really nice bottle, I'm going to let you enjoy it. And most of the time they'll say, please enjoy it with me. And that will be making it a cocktail. And it's fantastic. Buy tahine. This rim is yummy.
Oh, tahine's so good. Basically, you're supposed to enjoy these things. Mm-hmm. So enjoy them. If that means making a mixer, go for it. Same with your wine, same with anything. Put ice in there, whatever you got to do to enjoy it. Of course, that's what you do. For critical tasting, absolutely not. You're not going to be critically tasting the mezcal and have a mixed drink. That's just not I don't know.
All right, so the first thing we're going to do is the straight Espadín. No L. Can you see that?
Here, watch, I'll get it somewhere quick.
Yes.
Espadín, it says so down low.
Okay.
This was a mezcalery that we went to named Mal de Amor.
It was so cool.
They were a lot of fun. Straight Espadín. Here you go. Tell me what you think. Here she goes. They're
be careful
all
about sticking your nose into it. We're wine people where, you stick your nose in there. Not with booze.
I think booze people probably do that.
Waft.
Oh, yeah.
So...
that face.
It's very...
That's good.
It's so intense. But it's clear, it's got a lot of flavor, but it's not too smoky, which I prefer. It has a lot of kind of vegetal characteristics to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it's good, clean, clear. It's definitely a little smoky, especially at first.
Yeah, more than usual, but for
after-
mezcal, it's actually not that smoky.
Exactly. All of them have a kind of a smoky resonance to it. So
All right, the next one,
It's
which
called-
I love. So a whole bunch of these you buy without a label. You just buy a jar of whatever weird liquid they're gonna put in there, and you take this on face value that this isn't gonna kill you.
So this one's called Tepistate Quiche.
Yeah, say that twice.
Tepistate Quiche.
Type
And
of agave.
it's just a type of agave. This one, I think they said, grows for 14 to 18 years.
Oh, sorry.
It's got a little bit more of I would call it a hospital. What do you call that?
Antiseptic?
Antiseptic quality to it.
Oh.
But
Yummy.
but to me it's also kind of sweet. I don't know. It's a little sweet. And more so in the aftertaste. The aftertaste is kind of like this. I don't know. It's kind of got like a weird like Band-Aid quality to it, or but it's
Very
but
much.
it's less smoky than this other one, but
It is fruitier on the palate.
it's kind of, yeah, it comes across sweeter, even though it's not sweet.
There is a sweet fruit, not sugar,
Yeah.
but sweet fruit that.
Yeah, really really tasty.
So if you like Band-Aids,
So if you like Band-Aids, which apparently Jesse does. Here's another one called Penca Verde, which Penca.
I knew it. I knew it. All right. So another.
They can't see that.
Well, then no.
Or maybe it can.
In situ.
In
is
situ.
the name of it. We got little mini bottles so that we could do this show.
Right?
And
We
not
got a
open
bunch
a
of
bunch.
big bottles as well. I'm hoping to finish them by the time we get home, but we'll see.
I'm hoping that by then we can have some people over and COVID safe, have others drink this.
You're gonna like this one better. This one's way not smoky,
Oh yeah, that's better. The
and
nose is
it's
better.
kind of fruity and floral on the palate.
The nose is way better.
Than the Tempestate Quiche, or just Quiche. They call it Quiche or Quiche. But this Penca Verde is another. So those are really popular kinds down here. I don't know what they sell in the States because I've never really gone shopping for mezcal up there.
Wow, that's strong.
Well, they're all about the same strength, but yeah, you know,
I don't know.
45 to 50 percent alcohol, all of them.
Oh man, I like the nose better. There's almost like almost cucumber.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, like a green,
it's
like a-
very pleasant.
A green, fresh vegetable, something.
But the finish on that packs a enormous punch to your face. All right, and then it's in situ again. It was a fantastically wonderful little
Tasting
tasting
room.
room. So cool, and the branding was phenomenal. From the floor to the labels to the mask the guy was wearing to the
They gave us a couple masks.
boxes that they put these cute little things in, and they give you a little bowl. This is what you're supposed to be drinking your mezcal out of. I have no idea why, but it's all really cute. So, all right, but the one that I liked the best was the chocolate, which sounds like I've done an incredible job dishonoring the purpose of, you know, fancy schmancy mezcal, but actually it's not sweet at all. It is full on cacao beans put into the distillation, and that gives it actual chocolate notes, but it's not sweet, which is totally wild to me.
So this is made out of any of your flavored ones, any of the ones they make a drink out of. It's always going to be made out of espadín. because that's the one that everyone has enough of. If they're aging it, you know, so you get an añejo like you would a tequila or whatever, that's going to be made out of espadín agave plants. She likes.
Yeah, this is the best. It's so delicious and it's so subtle, but it tampers that super astringent, like heavy alcohol. It gives you like a really nice palate feel. They do a bunch of really weird shit with the distillation process that we learned.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you can flavor them. They put the fruit in during the distillation.
Right.
So it does
or
come
the
through.
cacao beans in this case.
Yeah, so, you know, if they put cherries in there, you really get cherry flavor, but it's very authentic. It's not like adding cherry to a drink kind of thing, or, you know, some sugary something. So that's an important part, but one of the biggest things that we learned is they put meat. They put meat in the distillation.
They call it
so gross.
Con pechuga, because traditionally the meat has been like a chicken breast or a turkey breast, but you know, it could be a pork chop or whatever.
Yeah.
And it just gives it kind of like a fullness of body. And I had just read about a whiskey distillery that's coming out with something called the Deer Hunter or something, and they're gonna put deer meat in their in their whiskey. I'm like, I want some so bad, but it's not out yet. But we were reading about that thinking this sounds horrible, and apparently they've been doing it with mezcal for years. So
they I'm taking notes at this this place, and you know, trying to really analyze and learn, and they're like, whoa, so then in this one we have the chicken, and then you know, a fruit, and I'm like, I wrote down chicken, and then I was like, no, he didn't mean chicken. I'm misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And later it was like,
oh yeah.
Wait, there's chicken? And so I was really repulsed by this whole idea. I do not like the idea of having meat in my drink. I don't know why. I am a meat eater. And then, as we've continued to learn about mezcal and taste them, what's my favorite?
The meat.
The meat. It totally changes it. It's absolutely delicious. It gives it viscosity, tames it, softens it, and takes something that, you know, like that one that, was rough just now in the tasting. If it had also had meat, I probably would have loved it because it's really amazing. I don't know how this happened. And so then now that's, which one do you want for us to buy? And I'm like, the one with the meat, please. Gross. So.
It's been good. All right, let's taste your mixed drink.
Well, this has been fantastic. I've been loving this.
I haven't tasted it yet. Is it spicy?
I guess. I mean, I like all my stuff really spicy, so I don't know. Ooh, we also got one where the plant itself tastes like jalapeno. So the mezcal, the finished mezcal tastes like really strong jalapeno. It's phenomenal.
We bought a whole bottle of it. Maybe that's one I can bring home. We'll see. But it doesn't have a label, so I don't know if they'll let it cross the border.
It does.
No, that one he got out of the
Yeah,
bottle down below.
and then he put the sticker on it.
Oh yeah, he put a sticker. Okay, yeah, we're good. We got a label. Maybe I'll bring some of that home.
All right, so I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed Mezcal 101. If you have follow-up questions, we're going to be down here for a while. We're just enjoying an amazing time at the beach.
Should we take them on a virtual tour real quick?
Sure.
Show them the.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. We're walking.
We're walking our beat. Mexico's our beat. There's Michelle. Here's our private beach down there. We got the surfers out there in the surf doing their thing. It's quite a few. I've been trying to, you know, old fat guy trying to learn how to surf. It's not always a good look on anybody, but luckily most of these guys are beginners as well. If you go over here, this is our little area. There's our daughter back there, chilling out in a hammock. Maybe you can see her back there. That's our room. Anyway, it's been amazing over here. We love it.
Thanks for tuning in and putting up with all the weird stuff as we try to figure this all out. Cheers. Next week, we've already been getting some fun questions in. All of your weird, wacky, embarrassing wine questions. So there's a lot of people that are too embarrassed to ask certain things. And I've been collecting all of your submissions. We're going to tackle all of those next week. So
Yay.
tune in. It might be recorded again, but we'll be there.
Cheers, guys.